Hi, this is Malachi.
And Christine.
Thank you so much for tuning into our show. We have an awesome show just for you, and you. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends and your family. We know they'll be blessed as well. And without any further ado, here's tonight's podcast. Welcome to the Malachi and Christine Show. I am your host, Malachi, and I am standing in on behalf of my lovely, lovely bride, Christine. You all know her work schedule, so I won't go into that. So we will press on as we normally do here on the show. We just want to say thank you to all of our listeners that support us each and every week. You know what? For the last 4 weeks, we dealt with why married men really cheat on their wives. Now, we will be dealing with why married women really cheat on their husbands. And to be honest, the answers will be pretty much the same as the husbands. And if you're just tuning in, you can find out what we talked about on the topic, why married men cheat on their wives. You have to go back and listen to the podcast of the previous weeks. I'm going to try my very best, ladies and gentlemen, to have my friend, my love, and my wife, Christine, to come in and share a little bit on this topic. She has so much to give when it comes to a loving Christian relationship and sharing a side that all women can relate to. That's the reason we were compelled to start the Malachi and Christine Show, because of our desire to help others overcome many of the obstacles that come within a marriage. She has such a longing in her heart and a drive in her spirit to minister to not only women that are hurting, but also to those that are Christian business women, desiring to be used by God in the business world. So I'm going to do my best to see if she can get away from her busy timetable and share a little with you women. But as I stated in my last series, cheating is not biblically accepted, not by the husband and not by the wife. But let's be very clear here. I'm especially talking to believers, those that are proclaiming to be Christians, because infidelity hits in their home just like it hits in the homes of the unbelievers, those that don't profess any type of salvation. But the question will always be, why? Because aren't they supposed to be under the blood of Jesus, those that are Christian? Let me help you here. No one is exempt from the devil messing up your home, especially if you allow him to. The devil can't do anything unless you allow him to do anything. And when we come back right after this short little break, we will address this very sensitive topic of why married women cheat on their husbands. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Malachi and Christine Show. We are talking about why married women cheat on their husbands. According to the psychologist, Dr. Bonnie Ecker-Wild, she says no woman is adultery proof. More than 50% of all married women at some point cheat on their mates. So husbands should never be too cocky that their wife won't stray. She says that you have to be on the alert that at any moment you could lose your partner. That's pretty serious. As many of you know, fidelity creates a very painful and difficult situation, one that involves all the emotions, and for the Christian can stretch faith almost to the breaking point. But then you think to yourself, how can you ever trust them again when your mate cheats on you? They literally stepped out of their vows to satisfy a very short-term fleshy desire. How do you forgive them? Not how do you forgive them, but we know how to forgive. But how do you trust again? Pretty much the same way of how to forgive. You just have to step out there, forgive one, and then work on the process of trusting. It's not going to be easy. Now, it's very easy to say, baby, turn your worries over to the Lord, for he cares about you. That's easy to say. But think about it. Peter must have known all about the pains and disappointment when he wrote, casting all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. Even though it is easier said than done, if you have been wronged, you must go to the Lord for comfort. You must go to him for wisdom, and you must go to him for direction. God is the only one that can help us through the deepest of trials. And fidelity is one of the deepest. Now, as I lay the foundation of this week's podcast, if you listen to my last series, then you already know that God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. Hebrews 13:4. And if you're just tuning in and hearing this for the very first time, then I suggest you go back and listen to my last series on why married men cheat on their wives. Then you can catch up to where we are now. Husbands, let me talk to you. If you've been injured by your wife's cheating, I want to tell you, just like I would tell the wife of a husband cheating, rest in the truth that God is the Avenger. You don't need to fret over getting even. God will do a much better job of avenging you. That you can bank on. When one is betrayed, you commit that pain to the one who knows every detail and will deal with it appropriately. God will deal with that situation appropriately. You don't have to get even. There's no reason to go out and get revenge. That's God's job. When we get to the end of this particular series, I'm going to give you the best advice anyone could ever give you in dealing with infidelity. So that means you're going to have to tune in each week to find out the advice that I'm going to share with everyone. And this will be the best advice. I'm telling you, it's going to be the best advice anyone could ever give. Now, let's talk about some of the top common reasons as to why a wife will cheat on her husband. And I've come up with a few in this series. And yes, you will hear a few that were on the husband's list of common reasons why he cheated on his wife. Number 1, bored. Number 2, communication. Number 3, lack of sex. Number 4, not appreciated. Number 5, best of both worlds. Number 6, selfish. Number 7, doesn't love me. Number 8, exploration. And number 9, money. There's 10, but I'll share 10 at a later time. So let's begin on our quest and our journey to find out why married women cheat on their husbands. Number one, boredom. Let me ask you a question, ladies. Has your relationship got to the place to where it is just boredomsville? What the heck has happened to all the excitement that was in the beginning of the relationship? Remember when there seemed to be a different activity each week? Men, you took her to a different restaurant to try new foods. A concert or a movie was on the list of doing things for your weekly date night. Wait, weekly date night? When did that stop? When did you stop doing your date nights? Have you even done a date night? Let me ask that. When was the last time you took her out on a date? No special place, really, just a place that you two can spend a little time together. You don't have to spend a lot of money taking her out. And now what happens? She's not looking forward to coming home because she knows you will be in your spot on the couch or in your favorite recliner watching TV. So what is happening now is some of her coworkers are meeting up after work. And there's one particular guy in her office that has been paying attention to her and how she reacts when it's time to go home. He sees it. She shows and displays her dislike for leaving, going home. And like any desperate man in the office will do, he'll start off with small talk just to see where she is in her relationship. And if he can work his way into that equation, he seems fun and likes to try new things. All the things she's used to doing with you. Her boredom has met with office man's excitement. Let's call him office man. And before long it happens. The after work get together with a few of the co-workers is now only with him. She's fulfilled her boredom, and you have no clue. Men, you have not even noticed her coming in later and later, dressing differently, smelling different. She stepped into a world that resulted from you not paying attention and being consistent with you spending time with her, keeping the relationship exciting and fun. And as I said earlier, you don't have to spend a lot of money in order to have fun in your marriage, but at least make an attempt to do things with her, because you better believe office man will. If she can't get you off the couch, she will find someone else that's already off the couch. Boredom is not a good reason to cheat, ladies, but it is one of the reasons why wives will cheat on her husband. Spice things up, men. You have to. Your marriage depends on it. Number two is a big factor in why couples seek outside companionship. Communication. This was a problem on the man's list. It's a fact that women love to talk. That's no hidden secret. Women just love to talk. And they do it so well. And you need to learn that in order to have a healthy relationship, you must have a healthy communication within that marriage. And that means having regular conversations with her. Isn't this part of why you guys fell in love in the first place? You talked about everything in the beginning. She thought you were such a great talker. You talked, she talked, you listened, she listened. It was a wonderful thing when you guys met. She thought it was so wonderful to meet a guy that loved to talk as much as she did. But something happened over the years. You lost your ability to talk. Now you say when she makes the statement that you don't talk to me anymore. Well, what do you want to talk about? Seriously? Has it come to that? That you actually don't have anything to talk about anymore? How about how was your day? Or how about what you did today? As I stated in my last series, my wife calls me as soon as she gets off work. And we talk. She talks about her day. She talks about what's going on. And then when she gets home, we finish it up. We have a conversations. Now, sometimes I'm watching a series on TV that I'm really into and she wants to talk, and I have to either turn the TV off or pay attention to her while the series is running. I have to put it on pause or something because she wants to talk and I have to listen. So yes, truthfully, I do get bothered sometimes by that because I'm right in the middle of a good part of the series. But then I have to realize, well, she needs my attention now. And I have to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice, man. Is it really that important? Especially if it's on Netflix, then you can turn it off or pause it and come back to it later. That's the good thing about it. But at that particular time, she needs to talk. It might not be important to you, but it's important to her. I know that now talking seems to be a struggle just to get a sentence out of you, men. And here's another fact. Women are more sensitive to conversation and communication than we are. The moment she doesn't get it from you, she'll go looking for it elsewhere. And if she gets it from the new source, say the office guy, a friendly brother at the church, she may be tempted to cheat on her husband. Let's not get it twisted, y'all. Just because it's a church outing or a church meeting does not mean temptation won't be in attendance. You best believe temptation will be dressed up and in attendance. Hey, don't go anywhere. We'll be back. There's more to come right after this. Welcome back to the Malachi and Christine Show. We are talking about why married women cheat on their husbands. And we have 10 common reasons as to why a wife would cheat on her husband. And people don't think that temptation can happen at church or at a church meeting, church conference, church workshop. There has been many couples in church that have cheated on their spouses simply because there were no boundaries, or those boundaries were just overlooked because the two of them were both a part of the same church. Oh, how convenient is that? And I'll be the first to tell you that a woman looking for a conversation at church will always find a spiritually weak brother. One that will certainly be willing to talk to her. After all, isn't that what you did when you two first met? You talked. How you doing? How you doing? I'm fine. Thank you. You just simple conversation. My wife told me that talking to her is a turn on. It was a matter of stimulating her mind. And when you stimulate a woman's mind, you stimulate everything else. You better learn to stimulate her mind, man. Because everything else is going to follow. Trust me on that one. My wife and I talk, and we make it a point to talk to one another. She needs to be able to unwind, and being around all those negative folk at work, I'm her positive outlet to give her that positive recharge that she needs. Plus, she is not one to go seeking for what she knows she can get and will get at home with her husband. She already knows that. She don't need to go seeking anywhere else because I have everything she wants. Hello. That's right. So let's go into number 3. This was on the husband's list as well. Lack of sex. And it is one that seems to lead couples down a road seeking to be fulfilled outside the boundaries of your marriage. This is why I asked in my last podcast, how often should a married couple have sex? Because if this area is dealt with properly and appropriately, then she would not be seeking outside help to be satisfied. But that leads us to another question. Is she ever satisfied? The only way to know this is by having a conversation with her, men. There's that communication that's needed within your relationship. You might need to ask those uncomfortable questions. Baby, are you satisfied? Honey, how can I satisfy you? What can I do to help satisfy you, baby? These are some hard questions to ask your mate for some men. Men don't want to hear that they are not satisfying their wives anymore. Well, maybe you need to step up your game then. The more you learn about her needs, the more you will be able to satisfy her wants sexually. And yes, it is sad to say that Christian women will be tempted by another man that looks more attractive than her husband and then begin to fantasize about him sexually. Is that why she's not having sex with you? Because you let yourself go? The devil will use every tool necessary. And if you have not been keeping yourself up like you used to do, then that would be one of his tools. The gym down the street is having a special, and she just happens to join. That's a tool. And what do you know? The brother from the church goes there. Now she has a workout partner. That's a tool. And you know what? You really don't trip because it's only brother so-and-so. But how well do you know brother so-and-so? He's in the gym keeping fit for some reason. And one of them just joined the membership. Let me be blunt here. Old, tired sex is the reason most relationships forms a crack in the home. Women need good sex, even if you don't feel like doing it. She really needs to feel that her husband still loves her and can give it to her the way he did when they first got married. Men, if you are the reason for the lack of sex, then you know what's going to happen? She's going to start wondering if it's her. She'll begin to question herself. Am I still attractive? Am I still desirable? These questions will affect Christian women just like they will affect a non-Christian woman. Women want to not only know, but they want to hear and feel that they are still attractive and desirable to their husbands. One reason the devil will cause her to seek approval from another man or other men is the simple fact that you stop paying attention to her. Why do you think you see so many women on Facebook and Instagram posting every single day and several times a day? Because they're seeking approval. They're seeking attention. There's a lack somewhere in their life. They want the likes. They need the likes. They want to see people commenting on how they look. And the only approval anyone will ever need is from God himself. You don't need the approval of man to qualify your worth. That only causes problems in the marriage when other men start commenting on your post and they don't see your husband in any other pictures. And the pictures are very sexual in nature. And you're married. If you're married, you should not be posting photos of yourself in such a provocative way. And your husband is not in the photos with you. That's very dangerous to your relationship. I see that a lot on Facebook, Instagram, women posting of themselves and they don't have their husbands with them. Now, I understand that you're posting pictures of yourselves and you want to show off a new outfit and you're showing off some new shoes or something of that effect. But when you have certain photos that you are showing off your bodies in such a way that it draws attention to yourselves from those hungry brothers that are out there looking, those are the ones that are very dangerous. The first thing a man will think is, she must not be getting it at home. or her man must not be paying attention to her. They must be separated. And that could be because of no communication, no sex, and boredom. Because she is always on social media trying to fulfill that need. Strangely enough, lack of sex will drive her to social media. Young women are driven to social media to fulfill many of the lacks in their lives, hoping to fulfill them by the likes and the new friend follows. In many marriages, sexual infidelity has started with a DM or a private inbox message. Husbands, you need to handle your business or someone else will. However, wives, if you keep your eyes on God, then you won't be apt to seek what you lack elsewhere. Because your needs are being met spiritually. When you are satisfied spiritually, you will be satisfied naturally. At least until your husband gets back on his job. I know it can be difficult physically when you're not being satisfied. I know that. And time will not permit me to go deeper into this. But please know, your salvation should be and must be more important than what your flesh temporarily wants. I will certainly address this in another podcast. But for now, we got to bring it to a close. I'm sorry, we got to bring it to an end, ladies and gentlemen. Time has run out. You know how it is. Time flies when you're having fun. We'll definitely do this again real soon. But until next time, on behalf of my beautiful, sexy wife, Christine, this is Malachi. Be sure to keep love in your relationship. Bye for now. This concludes another episode of the Malachi and Christine Show. We look forward to spending time with you again real soon. Remember to love God, love yourself, and love others.